Hey everybody, we're here for Tuesday Talks. Now, Tuesday Talk is all about getting to know an individual and finding out what makes them tick. What do they care about, how their career reflects that, and what motivates them to keep going. Now, today's guest is Kasia. Kasia is a psychologist, a people person, helping with the startup, bring in the startup culture as well, alleviating the burnout side of section as well. So, she's a startup culture consultant, life coach, helping people to reclaim their inner power and restore their balance after burnout, as I was mentioning, right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to bring her on. She talks about doing all this one conversation at a time. So, let's bring Kasia on.
Hi,
Hi, Kasia. How are you
Zishan.
doing?
Amazing. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much for hopping on
Pleasure's
Tuesday
mine.
Talks. I know you're also traveling the world, being a digital nomad.
Today I'm in
Whereabouts are you today?
Sousse, Tunisia. So it's like opposite of Sicily, Italy. Mm.
Oh wow! And wow, I've been seeing your stories. I always get fascinated with people when they share places they are at. So to see different places to put on your places to go list, right? But thank you very much for sharing that journey with us on your Instagram story as well. I know before we start, did you wanted to do something for us before we kick
Yes,
off this
please.
this
That's gonna also
conversation?
help me to get grounded a little bit because my heart is singing like crazy. So let me guide you quickly through this like several seconds meditation where I usually do that at the beginning of every coaching call. So I want to invite you to close your eyes and maybe shake your arms, like shake your shoulders a little bit, and then bring your shoulders up to your ears. Inhale and drop it. Exhale. Inhale, shoulders to your ears. Hold on top. Exhale. And I want to put your left hand on your chest and the right hand on your belly. And slowly focus on how your belly is expanding as you inhale. And we take 3 more deep breaths. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Inhale, belly expanding. Hold it. Exhale. Last deep breath into your belly. Hold on top. Hold it. Exhale. And you can gently open your eyes. Now I'm ready.
Wow, that's actually amazing, and it actually grounded me as well because I was having a very busy, productive, busy day, and I had to be rushing around to
It's a
come on here as well.
it's
So thank you very much
a
for this.
beautiful
This is so
switch. It's
amazing,
just
and
such an
it's
easy
just
way to just
brought.
like switch off your mind from the all the chaos outside and then bring yourself to the body, and now we can be present for
Mm.
each other.
I love that. So that's already an amazing start of this Tuesday Talks. So without further ado, I would like to give you some questions that we can start with. So I've done a
Beautiful.
short introduction, but you, the best person to do
Mm.
a justice to that introduction. So, let the listeners and the viewers know who you are, what you do, and everybody on Tuesday Talks that likes to know is, why do you do it,
That's too many
Kasia?
questions. But okay, let me start from the beginning.
So you take it as you
Okay,
want
so
to
first
take
of
it.
all, thank you
Yeah.
for having me. It's such a wonderful experience to be live. It's also very new for me, so let's see how it all goes. So, I think I can start from I've always been super fascinated by human psyche since I was a kid. I was analyzing why my grandparents like this, why am I like this, why my mom is like this, and what are the similarities between all of that. So that gave me the courage to go and study psychology. So this is what I did. But I didn't have the courage afterwards to follow that path and become a clinical psychologist because I realized how much I don't know. And so that got me into business. And I thought, oh, I'm going to
Mm.
do something around people and maybe I will use my psychological knowledge. And I was very, very wrong because I started as a recruiter in an agency and that was purely sales. And so that got me into my first burnout. And so what I did is I bought one-way ticket to China. I really needed to bring like really big shift in my life. And this is what I discovered was a big fuel in my life, change and big challenge where I can face everything that is new around me, new culture, language, food, climate. And so I fell in love with that experience. So started with big change, and only when I looked at the night sky, I actually realized I'm on the other side of the planet, and that was this big moment of wow, it's happening, it's real, and that never stopped until now because my base is in London, but now we speak, and I'm in Tunisia. So that was like a theme in my life since then. But what I did was I was mostly working in people space. So um, back in Asia, where I kind of stuck for like a year and a half, I was doing various different things. I was a volunteer in this project with Chinese students, cleaning the oceans, working with orphanage, teaching English. And then I stayed in Asia for some time to also continue doing it while traveling. And then after half a year, um, I decided that maybe it's been enough for me to have fun. And now I will go back into my career path. So I found this opportunity to go to India because I was also very much into yoga back then. And I was working there for 1 year. And I can proudly say I survived 1 year in India, but it's been an incredible experience nevertheless. And so afterwards, after working in a corporate, I said to myself, no more corporates. I want to make impact. I want to make an influence into my own work. And so when I came back to Europe, I started working in startups. And it was London back then. We started building challenger banks. And it was an incredible journey, beautiful learning, very fast paced, and massive and very steep learning curve. But that's when I discovered my real love for people, for development, for really building environment for people to thrive, that they can feel psychologically safe and they can really unleash their potential. So that's how I became head of people. And then I continued that experience also in Berlin in another startup. And every time when I would fall into that trap of overdoing and wearing so many hats because that's the reality of the startup, I realized there's this one thing that really keeps me going even though I was exhausted, and that was building connection with people. And so that's what happens when I work on a team. I make people feel heard, feel seen, feel important, and I always try to see how what they need to find in a workplace to and build it as an organic culture. So that was my journey for around 6 7 years. And then my last burnout, again in a startup back in London, put me back into alignment with who I really am and what's my real purpose. And that's when I said, now is the time. How many times I'm going to knock on that door and the universe will always bring me back and say, now or never. You're either going to start coaching people and working one on one full time or not. And so this is what I did. So last year I have gone through coaching certification. So I brushed off my whole knowledge about coaching. I equipped myself with new tools so that I could really see that shift happening in the person that I'm speaking to on a daily basis. So this is my mission. Having gone through burnout so many times, I am on a mission to help people that work in the startup, that build companies and that hyper achievers and thrive in this fast-paced environment, to regain their inner strength, to become resilient, to become grit, and really unfold their potential so that they can deliver and follow their dreams and really make an impact in the world.
Wow, I'm in an awe for the whole journey, and this is such an amazing journey that and how beautifully you've connected all the three questions all together in one. It's just amazing in terms of, you know, how you had your first burnout right at the beginning of your journey, and you went all the way to the other side of the world, to see what will happen. You know, it's already scary part that just to go on, and you chose China as well, right? It's not like, oh yeah, you were thinking to go to a country where, you know, like commonly that everybody will choose. So you went China. Yeah, I'm going to China, right? So okay, not it's a beautiful country, China, but not everybody just thinks of China like, I'm going to China today.
Not
you know,
true.
it's not one of those countries, right? But it's a brilliant and beautiful country. And then you're spending your time in India as well. So, and going through that whole your yoga journey and everything. So, and that's why I can see the right at the beginning that the little work we did beautifully comes out, and it's so natural that you've taken us through that as well. So it's an amazing journey. So thank you very much for sharing that. And what was coming through my mind was, so when you were going through this this pivotal moments in your journey, was there a single driver that drove you? I know there was this people's connection that you mentioned, but let's say, was there anything else? Like, you know, I refer to it every time as a North Star. So your compass is always pointing at north, right? So you're looking, when people say, I'm looking for my purpose, and I'm just saying, okay, just follow your compass, which is pointing at your purpose already, and your purpose is the North Star that you follow. Did you knew where that was? Because I can hear that in your story, that journey. I might have had a little bit more clarity of that.
So
if
I know,
it's
I think
possible.
that we all have that compass, as you said, within, that is just pushing us forward and it keeps driving us, but we not always know how to name it, how to capture it. And so, believe it or not, to me, it really came last year when I really started working on myself and really invest in myself, meaning not only going through a coaching certification, but one of my mentors, which I bow to right now, Ruth, she said to me, if you want to start coaching people, there's no way that you can do that without having your own experience as a coachee. So this is what I did. I invested in my own coaching. I went through group coaching first, and then one-on-one coaching, and then I finally started naming things for myself. So I defined what are my values, and that really gave me this understanding that I do everything for freedom, you know, that traveling, that exploration, freedom is something that's so, so important to me. Second one is my truth. Putting myself into such extreme situations, as you said, China, why not Thailand, right? Or Egypt, everyone is going there. It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's because I fell in love with that experience, because I needed to see how I'm going to react, how I'm going to cope with it, what I have within that I had no idea about, living my old ordinary life, you know, 9-to-5 job, city that I've studied in, I had my friends around me, but it was all so familiar. So I didn't feel that stimulation. And that's what I discovered was really driving me. Facing challenges, seeing how I operate, how I think, how I respond to people around me, and noticing that if you have your heart open and if you really focus on positive things, there's no way that the world would respond negatively to you. And so also having that in mind, I was also thinking, okay, what is the gift in it for me? What can I learn? Because it's not always rainbows and butterflies, right? when shit hits the fan, that's when you really learn how to stand up, brush yourself off from the dust and say, okay, I think I can handle that. And then you just go through it. You start seeking within, but also start talking to people, asking for help, and seeing how much everyone and the whole universe has to offer, so that there's no way they're not gonna handle it. And I think that was always something within me that was pushing this forward. So that need for freedom to move around, to get to know different things and seeking that truth, you know, having been brought up in a Catholic family, but then finding myself in India, surrounded by completely different religion, different beliefs, different mindset, questioning what is true and finding that there's true in all of this, right? But is this something that I define for myself as truth or someone else? And that is the most beautiful moment when you actually say, this is true for me, but it's not because someone told me, but I could confront that with that different environment to really reassure myself that this is it. So yeah.
That's such an amazing part there, that and I believe going through that experience of yours is the only way. And when you reiterated that, because you went to China, and I'm already thinking, because I also talk about, if you need something big change to happen, relocate, take yourself out of that situation. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need to take yourself out of that situation, right? So simply put, if you had a house plant which wasn't doing that well, what do? You move the house plant to a better location, right? You maybe put it by the sun, you put it by the window, or you put it where you try different locations, and suddenly you see, okay, it's doing well. And that's what we need to do with ourselves as well. We need to take ourselves out of that situation. So we need to have that. We need to have that bravery. So I would say to everybody who are listening now to this podcast now here, what my takeaway for so far is the bravery in taking that step of taking yourself out of the situation, and then literally putting yourself out of the box and putting yourself in a different environment, and then you have to grow. There's no two ways around it, right? So you have to grow. You obviously needed to understand a little bit of the language, and you needed to work with English and mixture of the languages. You have to, there you go. See, so you have to grow from that, right? So you need to put yourself into situations where you are always growing. So as soon as you feel that you are stagnant, or you are now in your comfortable, comfort zone, so you're very comfortable that everything starts to feel like a routine. And I always say, I question, so what are you going to do about it so that it doesn't feel like routine anymore? So it's different, right? So we need to do something different. So this is an amazing opportunity. And now you are traveling around the world. So is that something you would like to do as a full-time and just be a digital nomad?
Might surprise you here, but my answer is no. So this is it. I found that I love the stimulation of the new places. I love different cultures, different language, different food, and learning about it. But finding myself constantly moving, I find extremely ungrounding. And so that is kind of like, another side of the medal, where I then, once I move constantly, I need to find my own routine that is going to ground me, that is going to bring me back into myself and say, okay, despite everything around me is completely different, how do I find that home base within, right? So that's when I'm looking for place that I can wake up for at least several nights in a row in that same bed, have that same routine, and even making it a little bit boring, but already being in that new environment is so stimulating that it can be overwhelming. And so I even said that once, that it's not just the work environment that can make you burn out. It can also be traveling. It definitely was for me. So I am so gifted in my life that because of that need of deep connections, I'm very easy to make long-lasting friendships and probably most of my travels around the world were because of my friends, because I can go Mexico and visit someone that lives there and spend some time with their family. Now I'm in Tunisia with my good friend, and I'm also living, you know, in a family. So that is my biggest gift. That is my abundance in this lifetime. So I'm so, so thankful for that. But thanks to it also, I can find that, you know, one bed where I'm sleeping. And then thanks to that, slowly, slowly, I can get into the working mode. But if I were to choose travel around for the whole year and change places from one to another, I would not deliver on my work and I would not be happy traveling because I would be all over the place. So that's what I'm learning to do, you know, like finding the balance and that dance between being in a place but also doing my thing and not forgetting that I am here to do something, to make an impact, not just take great content and pictures for that, but also share my message with the world. And this is what I do as I learn, because I don't know if you followed me for the last 2 weeks around, I set myself this challenge showing up with my inner child energy. Yeah.
Inner
And
child,
then in the
yes.
middle of it, I had very, very difficult experience because, you know, I was doing cartwheels on the grass and then I was eating my ice creams and like playing and everything. But then I had this conversation that hit me so hard that I received that really, really strong trigger. And I was all anxious. I was all ungrounded. I was feeling unsafe. I felt like my life is in threat because I was in a car with someone having an argument. And then I was like, okay, now this is the real challenge for my inner child to feel safe. And how do I do that? How do I reparent myself? And that's where my real deep work really paid off, because I was able to, okay, what do I do? I remove myself from the situation. I go outside, I walk, I be in the nature, I ground myself, I stop tapping, you know, I know how to do it. So I did everything to calm my nervous system down and find that home base within. And those are those moments when you really realize that, okay, no matter what happened, no matter what the circumstances, you can be home for yourself. So I can only say that it's been really the result of my inner work that I've been doing since I decided to go study psychology, because someone told me, oh, you're going to study psychology, probably you need psychologist. And so I said, okay, I'm going to find psychologists then. So that's how it started, and that never stopped. So ever since, I've been doing my work, and yeah, that's the result.
Wow. It's it's an I really love that, and what I took away from right at the beginning of the story there was, you know, to for me came to me was be an explorer, but always
Yeah,
have your home base somewhere. So, you know, like even though explorers who climb the summits, they have a base right at the bottom of somewhere, right? So they go up,
yeah,
explore the summit, and then come back down. And the explorers who explore the world also have a base somewhere where they touch down every now and then before they go off to again to go and explore. So always, yeah. So have a base somewhere where you feel home, where it is you. So it could be anywhere in the world. It doesn't need to be where you're
mm,
from or where you need to be. It could be anywhere you feel like this is it. This is home now. And then you make that as your base, and then you go travel from there, explore the world,
yeah,
explore cultures and everything, and then come back to it when you need to. For some people, it may be recharge. So some people want to come back and then recharge there. Some people will just want to come back and then maybe connect back again to their home base, or people who are
yeah,
there waiting for that connection, right? So come back and reconnect with those, and I love that. That's what I took away from there. And then your journey of that, your challenge of the inner child is amazing. That you know, arguments in the car are the scariest arguments anyway, because if you're not the driver, you don't know what the driver's gonna do.
exactly.
if you're if you're if you are arguing with the driver, that is, yeah, you know, if you're arguing in the car with another passenger, that's another story. But if you're arguing with the
Tell
driver,
me
oh,
about
that
it.
is scary. you know, because you don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. They might start speeding up and like,
Yep.
wow, okay, I'll
And
just take you
also,
down the ditch with them.
it's
So
still Africa.
you
So,
never know.
sometimes the rules are like, there's no rules. You really just need to follow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but then I'm glad that you found the
Yeah.
harmony in it, and you took yourself out of the situation, and then you were able to do this. Now, what comes to my mind is, since you've been doing all these things, and I'm sure you explored various ways of doing things for yourself. What things have like stuck with you? Like, is there, like, some people like to call it rituals, or is it morning routines? What do you do when you know is throughout the morning before
Yeah.
you start your
So
day, right?
that's, thank you for this question, because this was also one of my commitments that I did the very beginning of this year, and I'm super happy that it stuck with me and I made it really a habit. So it starts in the evening. So I make sure that before going to bed, after brushing my teeth, I am refilling the bottle of water and I'm putting it right next to my bed so that when I wake up, first thing I sit down, I'm not even going to the toilet to pee. No, I'm sitting down, I'm drinking at least half a liter of water, just like that, so that I support my body to cleanse, and then I sit and meditate. And so I'm always using
Mm.
guided meditations because that's easier way for me to really focus. But if I share the room and I don't want to use my AirPods from the morning, I'm just doing the same meditation, guiding myself through exactly the same routine, because this is how I work. I like small routines, even though, my
Mm-hmm.
life is a mess, you
Mm-hmm.
might think. Um, so what I do is I connect with light and love. There is a beautiful meditation by Christy Mary Sheldon that I'm practicing daily, and it's you really taking yourself around 300 feet above where there is this source of love and light that you can feel, and no matter of the religion or beliefs, people when they pray they get into that state. And so I'm connecting to that light
Mm-hmm.
from above and below. I'm grounding myself. I'm imagining that there is this light coming through me and from the center of the planet, and that those two lights are meeting in the level of my heart, so that that love can radiate all around me, and then it spans across the building, the city, the continent, and it's easy to imagine now. Spanning that love across Africa and then Mediterranean and then Europe, and I'm also placing people where they are close to my heart in the world so that that love can actually reach them. And then I imagine this
Mm.
big ball of light in front of me filling up. I'm calling in my day and I'm calling all the spirits, like, what do I need to put in that ball of light to fill my day? And then I'm kind of like scanning through the day and thinking, okay, I'm going to have those coaching calls. I want to have all the courage, all the love, all the presence for those calls to really, make it impactful. And then, and I'm also, when there is someone in need, and I know that someone needs some healing, I'm setting a separate ball of light, and I'm calling that ball of light with the name of that someone, and say, okay, I'm putting all my love and healing energies, and I'm sending it right to that person that needs it. And apart from that, I'm
Wow.
also practicing gratitude. So the minute I remembered, okay, thank you for opening my eyes for the new day, that I can live through this lifetime, that I had my comfortable bed, that I could sleep in a quiet room, that I'm gonna go and have my breakfast. So I feel that gratitude, when you really raise that vibration, nobody can fuck around. Literally, this is my
It's
weapon.
true.
Yeah.
That that is such an interesting way of and I love that you're starting your day with water. I mean, I do it as well, but not half a liter. Mine was just a glass, because I also read it. I can't remember where I read it, because if you drink first thing, a glass of water first thing, or water first thing, it actually helps
Yeah.
with the cleansing of your body,
Exactly.
get rid of the toxins straight away. And obviously you're saying that as well, kind of confirms it now. So I'm not just like read it somewhere and I'm just doing it. But I've noticed also that since I've been doing this, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So since I've been doing this in the morning, I do
Yeah.
actually feel fresher throughout the day, and anything that was from yesterday is
Exactly.
actually gone. It's actually going before you when you start your day. Everything is
Yeah.
getting cleaned out, so it's all gone. And you have your shower and all that stuff, and you're out. So it's amazing. I've noticed that, and it's like, okay, gets you going. Thank you for actually sharing that. And I wanted to also then touch upon. I know you said you start your day in the evening for the morning, right? So you're preparing yourself already. But what do you do to
Mm.
close your day now, right? So you're now off to bed. You're trying to, a lot of people say stop the blue light, get rid of the phone, and all that stuff.
Well, if you say
What do
I'm
you
like
do?
that, that's gonna be a big lie because I'm definitely phone addicted. But before going to sleep, and this is something I also practiced as my first challenge in February. I was reading this book called The Magic, and it's all about gratitude. So it tells you to wake up with this vibration of gratitude, but also go to sleep. So before I go to sleep, I list off at least 10 things I'm grateful for. And then this, I have it on me. It's the magic rock for you
Ah,
to find it. I found it once when I was being somewhere outside in France, under the bushes.
so
It
it
came to
just
me,
came
so it
to it
became a
just came
magic
to you.
rock. And so I hold this rock in my hand and I'm thinking, what was the most magical moment during the day? And already when you scan through the day and you already think about those beautiful moments, it is already raising your vibration. So I make sure that I do
Mm,
a bit of a mental cleanse before going to sleep. Sometimes I'm also making an agreement with my subconsciousness and saying, okay, I want to wake up in the morning and have an idea for my content on LinkedIn. Bam. It doesn't happen just like that because I
nice,
found out I have like wild
of
dreams. So
course.
sometimes I'm waking up and still like in the dream, like, is this reality or am I still there? And but then also when
Oh
I'm,
wow.
because this is the cycle, I'm starting my day and finishing my day with meditation. Sometimes it's just a matter of me sitting in the morning, having my meditation time, and the downloads are coming. And sometimes I don't finish my meditation. I have to take my phone and like write down the ideas because otherwise I will just lose them. And that's how it
Mhm.
works with me. So I'm very, very present with myself and what's coming through and just like doing things on a whim sometimes they're the best, the most impactful.
I actually love that as well. So in terms of uh, gratitude side of things, and making sure that your mind's in a healthy place, so that you are when you go into bed, obviously, it's
Yeah.
already thinking of good things rather than the negative things. Because by default, obviously, the brain's designed to protect us, and how does it protect us? By bringing forward the things that it thinks will keep you safe, by scaring you, basically, because that worked in the past, right? When we were living in caves and bushes and all that stuff, we needed that kind of we needed that to
Yeah.
keep us safe, right? Scare us, oh no, we're not going there. But now is obviously a totally different scenario. We do not need to a certain place, maybe in
Mhm.
certain places we would need that protection, but now, well, we have the capacity to understand what's right and what's not wrong, what's wrong, and pick up on those vibrations in terms of, oh, I don't really need these thoughts anymore. Thank you very much, brain. Thank you for protecting me, but
Exactly.
I am going to do this. And I love that. I love that obviously you're going to bed
Yeah.
with happy thoughts, let's say, right? Happy. So subconsciously, the mind also. I'm not saying, obviously, I'm sure you have still have crazy dreams, right? So that's part of the brain. He has to do this. But
Mm.
it's wonderful that you're going to bed prepared, so that if it needs to think of something, it's going to think of something that you've already just been writing about, or meditating about or thinking about or asking itself, tell me what are my
Yeah.
magical moments of the day, and it's already thinking of that, and it's going to go to bed thinking of the magical moments of the day. And I love that. I'm going to maybe try that. I don't know if it's going to work
Definitely.
with me
But
or not,
also there's
but I'll try
one
that.
more thing that's super important, you know, when it comes to practicing gratitude and really listing everything that you're thankful for. It is practicing the abundance mindset. It is very easy for us to start complaining,
Mm,
moaning, and saying, like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. And the universe will match that. That's the trick, right? So when you start thinking, appreciating everything that you've had, even if it's like you sit and think, I don't really have anything. Okay, but last year I went to this amazing holiday and I had this beautiful experience. Okay, beautiful. And then out of that, oh, and I also had this and that and this and that. And so, you know, start thinking
mhm.
about things that you have and it make you feel so rich with all the things that you have, whether it's material things, whether it's memories, whether it's life experiences. It's like, you know, I want to make sure that if I go to bed, I'm thinking this can be my last day of my life and I'm ready to die because I've lived through so much that it's I can write books, right? And having that gratitude, it makes me feel like I'm so gifted to be living this life right now that I can just make, I want to make the most of it. And I think gratitude is this good reminder of really telling you that you've got everything that you need and that you're capable of. And now you're practicing it, you're getting ready for more.
I really love that, and thank you very much for expanding and sharing that as well. So I wanted to touch upon something that you obviously are saying, that you are helping now the startup culture and the burnout side of things. So with, what was it, one conversation a day, right? One conversation at a
Yeah.
time. Sorry, one conversation at a time. So how does that look like for someone who's really interested to do something like this? What does that
Sorry,
look like for them?
Sishan, I get a bit distracted because one friend of mine asked a question about rationalizing crazy and weird dreams. Can we just quickly cover that? Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, then that's no worries. But there's a common pin there, so
Oh,
if they wanted to
okay.
ask question,
Okay,
but
okay,
that's
okay.
fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, go for it.
so
Yeah.
Kavya, thank you for the question. So I call my dreams wild because there's so much going on in them, and sometimes actually I could never make any sense of it. But what I do think is I believe that your subconscious mind and my subconscious mind always needs to work through some stuff while the sensor is asleep, which is your mind, right? So whatever is happening, just allow it, just go with the flow, go on that journey and just say, thank you very much, my brain, you did the work. I now can live my day, you know, the way that I needed, because everything that I needed to live through that I wouldn't be able to live otherwise because my mind would not allow it, I can do. So I have no idea about, you know, the explanation of that, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on that is unprocessed in our daily life, in our conscious mind, that it just needs to happen like this. Yeah. And then Zishan, so coming back to your question about the startup world, can you just rephrase it quickly so I'm on point?
Yeah, not sure. Before I do that as well, I'll just read the question out for the viewers who will be listening to this as a podcast version, because they're not going to see this question there. So the question that you just answered was, how do you rationalize a crazy, weird dream? Not
Mm-hmm.
all seems healthy or happy. And that, I think that's a wonderful answer there as well. I also wanted to just expand onto it from what I perceive as these, you
Yes.
know, crazy
Mm-hmm.
and weird dreams, is that throughout the day you are anchoring on to things without realizing, subconsciously, right? Subconsciously, if you don't work with in harmony with your mind throughout the day, your mind is hooking on to certain places without you knowing, uh, subconsciously, just because it's reading your body language body. So if your body was triggered by something, but you wanted to forget about it, or maybe it wasn't even a massive trigger. Now, trigger doesn't have to be a big trigger. It could be a sudden, like like something you just looked at like that way. That's already a trigger for your brain. It's thinking, okay, you did pay attention twice, so that is something important to you, or was shock to a system, even though it's not a massive shock. And what happens is it keeps hook of it. So like think of a hard drive, right? So it's a hard drive. Our brain's a hard drive. So it keeps that files there, right? And now nighttime when you're going to bed, it's like, okay, I'm gonna clear up stuff now. I'm gonna fragment everything. I'm gonna put everything in order. I'm gonna alphabetize everything and whatever it needs to do, right? So that we can find the thoughts easier. And that time it plays, it looks at, are these any important anymore? And it brings it forward, right? Because other ones is already filed away, but it brings forward the ones that you hooked on throughout the day. Maybe you didn't pay attention to it that much, but you did for a second without knowing, and it just clipped it. So it bookmarked that location and that point in your life of the day, and then it just repeats it at nighttime. Most of the dreams that you come across is sometimes nightmares, sometimes anxiety, and are coming from there. Sometimes it's stronger because obviously you have strong connections to it. Even though if you have a tiny connection to it, it will repeat it at the dream time, but it might show you what you were actually thinking but never paid attention to it subconsciously. Never thought about it. So I thought I'll just
thank you, Mr. Freud.
That's my view on the dream world. That's my view on the mindset and the view, the dream world of that. But yeah, no. So the question that really I wanted to ask was, if now somebody who's watching this and wants to reach out to you in regards to the coaching side of things that you're doing, and how can you help them now if it's to do with burnout? So is that a totally different coaching to burnout and the startup culture? Obviously they're two different sides. Or are you able to do group coaching which covers all of this?
If I had my magic wand, I would definitely cover all of that, in the group coaching or one-to-one. The thing is that, one-on-one is always phenomenal. Like you can never replicate the same coaching to two people, but there are certain things that are really worth mentioning. And that's definitely, to me, what worked very well. And I can hear in some of my clients is that need of really defining what your values are. What are your non-negotiables in life? What's that North Star that you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation? So that this can be like the decision-making framework for them, and they can find whether their personal values are aligned with the company values or not. Because very often the burnout comes in when we find completely disattached between our values, what's important to us, and the values of the company. And what's more, if the company doesn't really validate that what you think, what you feel, and what you need is important, there's space for it in the working environment. Very often we are hyperachievers and we are seeking external validation. And because there is no limit to that, and very often we don't get that, that pat on the back, say you've done a great job, it's enough. We keep on delivering more and more and more because we think that our value equals that recognition, until the point where we feel like we've run out of all the energy. We've delivered so much, we didn't acknowledge ourselves for it, and we found ourselves in the space of no energy, withdrawal from social interactions because we're completely overwhelmed, we're exhausted, and we've lost identity almost in that. Very recently I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine that I met 10 years, after not seeing each other. And she's also a founder of her own company. And she mentioned the same thing, that it is so easy to fall into that trap of, being overwhelmed and over delivering because you don't slow down. You don't allow yourself to sit back and say, hey, is this worth it? Is this what I want to do? Does it make sense? Does it make me happy? Because it's prestigious, there is no limit to that, and other people achieve much more, so I have to keep going and all of this, right? So we just lose ourselves to it. So really, to me, the work starts with coming back to yourself, reparenting your inner child, feeling your own very, very deep needs, understanding where is it coming from, you know? Are we hyperachievers? Are we hyper vigilant? Are we seeking that external validation? What is our North Star? If we don't have that, we feed into someone else's North Star. And that's where we're losing ourselves in the easiest way. So my mission is to allow people to find that North Star and really make this alignment between what is my set of values and my mission in life versus can I deliver that while working for someone else.
I love that, and I can see how one can, working with you, can get that clarity. You know, in terms of the guidance and the clarity of finding that North Star, finding the values, because we all had that at one point. And obviously we just gave into the society, and if we are founders and of startups and in that part, I can already see how you can just get covered in it, because obviously you want to achieve what's there, right? And you're also looking at the society who have all these achievements, and then like, okay, I've started it, now I need to get there now. So how can you get there? Run fast. That's the only thing I know. I'm gonna run fast, and before you know it, you're tired and you're like, oh, I need to carry on running, and now you can't run anymore, but you're still dragging yourself. So it also just came to me, was like, it's a marathon, it's not a race, you know. So take it onto a marathon pace, you know. Grab that water bottle on the way up there, you know. Just don't keep running. I love that, and that's another takeaway for me from this here now. We are nearly coming to a close, and I wanted to say thank you very much for sharing this, such an amazing journey and amazing aha moments for everybody to take away. Just before we close this conversation, I wanted to ask you, what would you like to leave our audience with, some wrap-up comments so that they can take away with themselves?
Okay, I think because this topic of the inner child is so close to me and I've been, you know, sitting with it for so long, I think if you were to take one thing from that call, from this conversation, is to, your only job in life is to really reparent yourself and make sure that all your needs are met in real time. So if you're tired, take rest. If you are lost, take a step back and look around you and see where you are. Just notice your environment, notice how you feel about it, notice what your body is saying, and really follow that. Your body always knows the answer. And sometimes it takes courage to listen to your body, you know, and say that, I think I need to quit. I think I need a break because I am more important, because nobody else will tell you that you are more important than you are. So you are enough. Take care of yourself. And if you need someone on your team, I'm here.
I love this, and that's an amazing. Thank you very much for sharing such an amazing wrap-up comment there. And everybody who's watching us live now on Instagram or listening to this as a podcast a few months down the line, if you found this episode inspirational at all, or it started something in you like a little spark, it's our duty now to share this with whomever has just popped in your mind, or you think should be listening to this episode, because if it's created a spark in you, that's the only spark we need to create in them as well, because we don't know who's gone to bed or woken up thinking of a better day, and this spark can just get them going. And that's all we need to do, is we need to share the inspiration that comes to us to others as well.
Thank
Kasia,
you, Zishan.
thank you very much.
So lovely speaking to you. Love
today.
you bunches, and I'm hoping to see you soon in London. Bye.
See you later. Bye.